Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni's legal war was already headline material, but now it's detonated into full-blown celebrity chaos. Taylor Swift has officially been subpoenaed, Travis Kelce is unfollowing Ryan Reynolds, and Blake's iconic dragon text might be the reason everything is falling apart. This isn't just about a movie, this is about loyalty, manipulation, and Hollywood's most unshakable friendships starting to crumble. So what really happened behind closed doors? And how did Taylor Swift get dragged into a mess she never signed up for? Let's unravel the scandal that's burning bridges and careers. According to Justin Baldoni, the moment everything shifted didn't happen on set. It happened high above Manhattan, inside Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds' lavish penthouse. On the surface, it was framed as a creative meeting. Blake had rewritten a major scene in It Ends With Us, a key rooftop moment, and invited Justin over to discuss it. But what Justin thought would be an intimate, professional exchange quickly turned into something else entirely. When he walked in, he wasn't greeted with notes and collaboration. Instead, he found Blake flanked by two of the most influential people in Hollywood: her husband, Ryan Reynolds, and her best friend, Taylor Swift. According to Justin's legal filing, both Ryan and Taylor were there, not just watching, but actively praising Blake's script. Compliments flew, heads nodded. Allegedly, Taylor said she loved what Blake had written, while Ryan echoed that sentiment with enthusiasm. In that moment, Justin wasn't just a director. He was suddenly the only person in the room not endorsing the script. The pressure was unspoken, but intense. These weren't just friends cheering each other on. These were A-listers with global influence, gathered in a room that now felt less like a workspace and more like a stage. Justin says he felt cornered, outnumbered, possibly manipulated. And in an industry where power dynamics are everything, moments like these can make or break careers. Was it an innocent creative hangout with mutual friends? Or was Blake leveraging her inner circle to silently force his hand? And if Taylor was unknowingly being used to push an agenda, how much responsibility does she now carry for what happened next? If there was ever a moment that turned a private feud into a public disaster, it was a single text message sent by Blake Lively, one that now lives in legal filings and internet infamy. After the penthouse meeting, Justin Baldoni didn't immediately accept Blake's rewritten script. He told her it was good, but that the final version would likely be a blend of her work and the original draft. That's when Blake allegedly unleashed a message that read more like a medieval prophecy than a professional response. She referenced Game of Thrones, calling herself Kelce, and claimed, "I happen to have a few dragons, for better or worse, but usually for better, because my dragons also protect those I fight for. You will too, I can promise." It sounded theatrical until fans realized exactly who she was talking about. Her dragons, in this case, weren't fictional fire breathers. They were Ryan Reynolds and Taylor Swift. By her own metaphor, Blake was warning Justin that she had powerful allies, and that those allies weren't just on her side emotionally, but strategically. Whether she meant it as a joke, a flex, or a veiled threat, the message changed everything. It was no longer just a dispute over creative differences. Blake's own words had cast Taylor into the role of a symbolic weapon, someone who could back her up, intimidate, or influence outcomes. And for a global superstar who's famously protective of her brand, privacy, and public image, that kind of involuntary involvement is dangerous. So when that dragon's text surfaced, the internet asked the question Taylor probably did too. Did Blake just drag her into a lawsuit she wanted no part of? What started as whispers in court documents quickly erupted into full-blown headlines. Taylor Swift was no longer just a background figure in Blake and Justin's legal drama, she was subpoenaed. That means she's now legally required to testify, hand over evidence, or sit for a sworn deposition. This wasn't gossip. This wasn't a speculative name drop. This was Taylor Swift being formally dragged into a lawsuit that threatens to unravel one of her closest friendships and stain her name in a case she never publicly acknowledged until now. The moment the subpoena became public, fans were stunned. Taylor is famously strategic with her time, image, and associations. She's avoided legal chaos throughout her career, maintaining tight control over how and when she enters the spotlight. But now, she's being forced into someone else's courtroom drama, and the timing couldn't have been worse. While Taylor was conquering the globe with her record-shattering Eras tour, behind the scenes, legal papers were being filed with her name printed front and center. And then the internet lost it, for a completely different reason. Just days after the subpoena news broke, eagle-eyed fans noticed something strange. Travis Kelce, Taylor's boyfriend, had unfollowed Ryan Reynolds on Instagram. A single click, no announcement, no explanation. And yet, it sent Swifties and gossip sleuths into overdrive. Was it petty? Was it protective? Was it Taylor's way of signaling that she and Blake, and by extension Ryan, weren't on good terms anymore? Social media turned into a digital battlefield. People began dissecting timelines, resurfacing old clips, and questioning everything. Some said the unfollow was accidental. Others believed it was a quiet message from Taylor's camp. We're not okay. And when you factor in the fact that Taylor has said nothing publicly, not even a vague post or quote to show support, fans started asking the question no one wanted to face. Is Taylor already cutting ties with Blake behind the scenes before this legal firestorm pulls her in even deeper? Taylor Swift's silence may have fueled speculation, but when her legal team finally broke that silence, they didn't hold back. In a rare public statement, her spokesperson dismantled the idea that Taylor was in any way responsible for the drama surrounding It Ends With Us. The message was sharp, deliberate, and impossible to misinterpret. Taylor had nothing to do with this. According to her team, Taylor never set foot on the movie's set. She wasn't involved in casting. She never offered creative input. She didn't help write or edit scenes, nor did she give notes or approvals. In fact, they say she didn't even see the film until weeks after it premiered. Because during the entire production timeline, she was fully consumed by her Eras tour, flying across continents and making history with sold-out stadiums night after night. Her only connection to the film? She licensed one song, My Tears Ricochet, to be used in the soundtrack. That's it, no more, no less. But what made the statement even more telling wasn't just what it included, it was the tone. Taylor's team didn't just deny her involvement, they attacked the subpoena itself, calling it a calculated move to exploit her name and generate clickbait headlines. In their words, the legal demand for her testimony wasn't based on fact. It was rooted in a desire to weaponize her fame. They framed it as a distraction from the real issues at hand, a PR stunt wrapped in legal paper. For a celebrity as image-conscious and legally protected as Taylor, this was more than just a denial. It was a declaration. She didn't just want to clarify her role. She wanted to make it clear she was being used. And if Blake Lively was indeed the one who allowed Taylor's name to be included in the narrative, whether in that penthouse conversation, through that dragon's text, or in casual casting discussions, it now looked like Taylor was trying to distance herself as fast and as far as possible. But here's the twist. Even with her team pushing back hard, the damage may already be done. Because while Taylor insists she had no say in the creative process, old interviews are beginning to tell a very different story. Taylor's team may have tried to slam the door shut, but the internet wasn't about to let it stay closed. Because almost immediately after her spokesperson denied any creative involvement, fans and commentators began digging. And what they found? Didn't exactly support her side of the story. Old interviews started resurfacing. Interviews featuring cast members from It Ends With Us who spoke on record about Taylor Swift's involvement during casting. One actress, in particular, made a now viral statement saying she only learned after she was hired that Blake Lively and Taylor Swift had both viewed her audition tape and approved her for the role. Another source hinted that Taylor had been present during the process and even weighed in with positive feedback. These weren't tabloid rumors. They were first-hand accounts that directly contradicted the narrative Swift's team was trying to present. Even if Taylor wasn't officially part of the production team, these behind-the-scenes moments blur the line between casual friend and informal influence. After all, if you're watching audition tapes with the film's star and publicly endorsing choices, are you really uninvolved? Fans and legal analysts alike began asking, was Taylor's team technically telling the truth, but omitting the context? Justin's attorney, Brian Friedman, is making one thing clear. If Blake weaponized her friendships, then those friends are fair game in court. Whether Taylor meant to be involved or not doesn't matter. If she was there, especially at the penthouse meeting, and heard Ryan allegedly berating Justin, or saw Blake positioning herself as the creative authority, then she's now a first-hand observer of potential misconduct. And that makes her legally relevant, even if she personally wants nothing to do with the fight. But here's what's making fans nervous, and the gossip cycle relentless. If Taylor truly supported Blake, wouldn't she say something, post something, even one Instagram story about friendship or loyalty? Instead, there's a wall of silence. And when you stack that silence next to her legal team's aggressively defensive tone, it's hard not to wonder, has Taylor already made up her mind? Is she stepping back because she feels used, or because she no longer trusts what Blake was doing behind closed doors? Commentators have openly questioned whether Taylor feels betrayed, especially if Blake invoked her name in a legal battle without ever asking. And if you believe that theory, then Taylor's silence isn't just strategic, it's a warning sign. A way of saying, "Poto, I didn't sign up for this, and I won't protect you from it." So now, a once tight friendship is being examined under a microscope. Every unfollow, every statement, every moment of silence. Because in the world of celebrity, and especially in courtrooms, silence doesn't protect relationships. Sometimes it buries them. While headlines have zeroed in on celebrity cameos and A-list fallout, there's another side to this lawsuit that hasn't been talked about nearly enough, and it's one that could shift the entire tone of the case. Justin Baldoni's legal team has introduced a highly personal factor, his alleged neurodivergence. Behind the scripts, texts, and subpoenas lies a quieter, more complicated issue, one that has nothing to do with fame and everything to do with how people experience the world differently. According to leaked texts and sources close to the production, Justin had confided in people around him that he wanted to publicly speak about being neurodivergent. He reportedly believed that his behavior, communication style, and emotional responses on set may have been misunderstood, not out of malice, but because his brain processes things differently. And in an industry where control, tone, and collaboration are often shorthands for political power plays, the possibility of neurodivergence being misread as resistance or ego suddenly adds a deeply human complexity to the story. If Justin's emotional responses were rooted in neurodivergent processing, then Blake's alleged frustration with him could have stemmed from miscommunication, not rebellion. And if Blake perceived those miscommunications as disrespect or insubordination, it's possible her creative control push wasn't just about the film. It was about trying to assert dominance in a situation she didn't fully understand. That's where the power dynamic gets murky. Was Blake being a demanding creative force, or reacting emotionally to something she misinterpreted? And where does Taylor fit into all of this? If she was present during key interactions, or heard about them from Blake in a way that lacked the full context, then her praise or support may have been given under false impressions. What if she genuinely believed Justin was being difficult, when in reality he was just trying to communicate on his own terms? In court, this could become a key argument, that Blake's response to Justin wasn't just creatively aggressive. It was possibly retaliatory against someone who needed accommodation, not conflict. And if Taylor ends up testifying without knowing the full story, could her words unintentionally hurt someone who's been misunderstood from the very beginning? While the public obsesses over Taylor Swift's subpoena, Travis Kelce's Instagram activity, and Blake's Kelce cosplay, Blake Lively's legal team insists that everyone's missing the point. According to her lawyers, this case isn't about fame or hurt feelings, it's about retaliation. At the heart of it, they claim, is a woman who tried to speak up about harassment and toxic conditions, and was punished for it. Blake's team argues that the obsession with celebrities being dragged into the lawsuit is a distraction, one they believe is being strategically used to deflect from the real issues. They say the moment Blake began raising concerns about what she allegedly experienced on set, the tone changed. Communication shifted, cooperation stalled, and that's when the pushback, and ultimately the legal battle, began. Her lawyers have made it clear. They plan to focus on proving that a retaliation campaign was launched against Blake for daring to voice her discomfort. They claim there are witnesses, people who saw or experienced misconduct firsthand, and that their live testimony, combined with internal communications from Sony Pictures and other producers, will make it impossible to ignore the truth. But here's where it gets complicated. Blake's own decisions may have blurred the message. By invoking her powerful friends, Ryan, Taylor, others, as dragons in a metaphorical power move, she shifted the narrative away from retaliation and towards celebrity influence. That single text made it easier for critics to accuse her of trying to strong-arm the creative process using social leverage. And now, instead of being seen as a whistleblower, she's being painted by some as a manipulator hiding behind famous friends. In a different context, Blake might have been hailed as a woman standing up to an industry machine. But in this case, where Swifties and stans are dissecting every detail, the conversation has shifted. So the real question is, can this lawsuit return to what it was meant to be about, or has the celebrity fallout become too big to ignore? With the trial scheduled for March, the clock is ticking, and the stakes are rising by the day. Blake Lively is confirmed to testify. That's no longer a rumor, it's a lock. Her lawyer said she'll take the stand to tell her side of the story, not through carefully worded statements or insider sources, but in her own words, under oath. And that alone is enough to make this one of the most anticipated celebrity legal battles in recent memory. But she won't be the only one. According to her legal team, other witnesses, some of whom allegedly experienced or observed misconduct on set, will also speak out. Their testimonies, paired with internal documents from Sony Pictures and other producers, are expected to shed light on what really happened during the chaotic development of It Ends With Us. Discovery is underway, depositions are being scheduled, and the court is slowly assembling the pieces to a puzzle that now spans contracts, emails, text messages, and yes, friendships. Meanwhile, Ryan Reynolds' legal team is reportedly working overtime to get his name dismissed from the lawsuit altogether. Whether they succeed or not is still up in the air. But one thing is clear: even if Ryan avoids the courtroom, the damage to his public image and to his relationship with Taylor and Travis Kelce might already be done. And what about Taylor? Legally, she's now entangled, whether she wants to be or not. If her testimony is deemed essential, she could be forced to give a deposition or appear in court. Her team is expected to challenge the subpoena, but if that fails, we could be looking at Taylor Swift, under oath, in one of the most talked about trials in recent Hollywood history. But here's the bigger question, the one fans, lawyers, and even insiders are now whispering behind closed doors. Will Taylor Swift defend her best friend in court, or will she quietly walk away, choosing to protect her brand over their bond? One thing's for sure, the dragons have landed, and the fire's not going out anytime soon. As the Blake Lively versus Justin Baldoni lawsuit barrels toward trial, the lines between friendship, fame, and legal responsibility are getting blurrier by the day. What started as a creative dispute has spiraled into a courtroom drama involving Hollywood's most high-profile names, and the cracks in these once close relationships are starting to show. Will Taylor Swift be forced to testify against her best friend? Will Ryan Reynolds end up on the stand? And is this the beginning of the end for one of the most iconic celebrity circles? We'll be watching every twist, every filing, every unfollow. If you want to stay updated on the drama, the fallout, and everything in between, don't forget to like this video, hit that subscribe button, and turn on notifications so you never miss a moment of the madness. Until next time, stay curious.